What happens when a global customer service powerhouse doubles down on AI to shape how we interact with the brands that we know and love every day? Well, in today's episode, I'm going to invite you to think differently about the invisible threads that are connecting businesses and customers all around the world, and how technology weaves them tighter together than ever before. Because today I'm joined by Executive Vice President and General Manager for Zendesk Europe, a company that began its story from Copenhagen and now serves over 100,000 customers around the world. And from its 5 European development hubs, with AI leadership also emerging from Lisbon, Zendesk is a company that's tackling the challenges and opportunities of customer experience. So I want to learn more today about how, yes, agentic AI, I know we're talking about it a lot over the last few weeks, but how this technology is set to resolve up to 80% of customer queries, freeing human agents to deliver more meaningful connections where they matter most. So I want to unpack, what does all this mean? And how outcome-based pricing is also something that could flip the traditional contact centre model on its head. And if we've got time, also explore what it means to partner with iconic UK brands from Tesco to Next, while safeguarding data in an era of heightened cybersecurity demands. So if you've ever wondered how a company can balance organic growth, bold acquisitions, and the relentless pace of technological change and stay ahead in customer service, well, this is the perfect episode for you. So before we begin, where do you see the biggest potential for AI to redefine how your business talks to its customers? And while you're thinking about that question, I'm going to introduce you to today's guest. So a massive warm welcome to the show. Can you tell everyone listening a little about who you are and what you do?
Hi, Neil. Thanks. Andy Lawson. I am the EVP and GM for Zendesk for Europe. And I've had the privilege to work for some of our big tech companies over the years, the likes of Salesforce, Oracle, etc. So been at this quite a long time now.
And Zendesk is a huge global company. I would imagine most people know all about it. But for those people that are listening in any part of the world, hearing about Zendesk for the first time, can you just give me a bit of an overview of the company's journey in the UK and also what makes this market unique for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think Zendesk is still we've got something like over 100,000 customers, right? Yeah. Looking at all sectors. And it has been an incredible journey. Starting out from, the original founders were up in Mikkel and Morten, etc., were up in Copenhagen. Obviously, they moved across to the US to get access to better funding, etc. It's a little bit of a you said global company, but it's, when you talk to your friends, you go, oh, I've not heard of Zendesk. And you go, well, you probably use it every day. And you're like, every time. And they go, oh, yeah, that's what you do. So I think, our philosophy is simple. We want to be the best at customer service. We want to drive the product, really far forward to make sure we can help their customers get better service, right? Absolutely prime focus on that. So it's been a really interesting journey. Obviously, we were a public company. Then we went to, like a lot of companies these days, went to private. We've got a really growth-orientated private equity consortium behind us. So these have been really exciting journeys. Like in the last 18 months, we've made something like 5 acquisitions to bolster the product. And it's great. Why do I like Zendesk? Because the product's great and the customers are awesome. The people we get to work with. I missed you at the showcase in London, but fantastic. The atmosphere in there was fantastic. And it's like a little family reunion half the time. And I'm lucky I get to bounce around Europe and see them. And it's the same. Paris, we just had Paris last week. Stockholm was super impressive. We did Madrid. I think I've got one in Athens tomorrow as well, actually. So I'll beat your jet lag, but I'll leave 30 degrees and head to 40 degrees. So really interesting time just now, really pushing hard. But yeah, the desire is that we want to be the best at what we do.
And you talk about wanting to be the best at what you do, and it's all about service. And a few weeks ago at your showcase, you put a big spotlight on agentic AI. Last week I was at Cisco Live in San Diego, again, all about agentic AI and the transformational impacts it's going to have on service. So from your perspective here, what kind of commercial impact is this new wave of AI already having for Zendesk customers? Because there's a lot of hype around AI and agentic AI, but also there's an increasing focus on ROI, measurable difference we can make. So what are you seeing here?
Yeah, and again, I think it's on every board, it's on top of mind. How do we do this? How do we get the benefits of it? What are our competitors doing this? So you take it out, if you go through the customer's point of view, they're all looking like, oh yeah, what are my peers in the market doing? And how do I then take that AI magic and make it work for us? So yeah, a lot of the agentic AI, our desire is for the AI to do probably best part of 80% of the resolutions, leaving the high touch, high value for humans and things like that. So again, I think there's a really big drive, and I think it's a really exciting period of time. Again, this is one of these tech revolutions. So it's really cool to be, at the forefront. And, Zendesk has invested heavily in AI. And for me, in particular, our European customers, it's fantastic because we build our AI out of Lisbon, and we've got 5 development hubs in Europe. So what that allows me to do is get closer to the people building the product, but even more so giving our customers the best access to those people and how do they influence and how do we really satisfy our customers at a local level. So for me, you talked about, pricing models changes. That's always a difficult one. I think as a Scottish guy, I think we talk about the resolution revolution.
Yeah.
That's pretty tough for me to say sometimes, So, but again, working through that and working through the pricing models, and basically, ultimately where we'll end up is that you're only going to pay for that resolution, right? So, and I think that's a big change, going from the old agent-based way of doing it to now, you're going to pay for when you get this resolution. So exciting times. I think there's a lot of work. There's a lot of people. You look at your peers and you can see what they're doing. So there's a lot of watching and learning as well, and making sure we can optimize the process.
And I'm glad you raised pricing there, because you've recently launched outcome-based pricing. And I'm curious, what was it that drove that decision? And how does it reflect on this broader shift in how businesses are evaluating the value of CX platforms?
Yeah, again, we talked about that the how do we get the benefit of AI? You talked about ROI and things like that. And for me, this is really about how do we find a model that is more working than just agent-based. So ultimately, at the end of the day, if you get a resolution and it works, you pay for it. If you don't get a resolution, you don't. So again, there's still a lot of work being done to it. We are launching it, and more and more customers are coming to us and asking for resolution-based pricing. So inevitably, that's the way it will go.
Yeah.
But I've been through, I remember a lot of time, going from concurrent licenses to perpetual and all this sort of stuff. I've been through many, many different pricing models over the years. But I think this one looks really interesting. And it's going to take time to tweak the models. But I think it's the best for our customers.
And when doing a little research on you guys, what also set off my tech spidey sensors was that Zendesk has been expanding through a number of strategic acquisitions, including Local Measure. So how do these additions strengthen your offering, and what's the ultimate long-term vision behind this M&A strategy?
Ultimately, the long-term goal is to be the best at what we do. Simply, we want to own the category, right? We want to be seen as that dominant player leading the category. The acquisitions are, but also you see a lot of, maybe the 5, we'll talk about Local Measure in a second, which is really exciting, by the way. But also we're doing a lot of development as well, right? So that core organic growth as well, married together with the acquisition, is just making the product stronger, right? Inevitably, you have gaps in when you're building out these products, and sometimes you'll acquire to fill a gap. Sometimes you'll acquire to get access to more customers. And, and it's been a really healthy balance for us. Local measure was just the latest. And again, it's about how do we get into that CCaaS space, right? How do we strengthen our relationship with the AWS Connect on top of local measure? And that really gets us into a new, or maybe a little part of the market that we weren't touching well enough, if you know what I mean. And that will put us in a prime player. And we've had a phenomenal amount of interest. Over the years, in my career, we've done a lot of acquisitions, different companies. But at Zendesk, I've never seen a couple. One was the ultimate acquisition. I've never seen the adoption so quickly of that technology. And we're seeing the same thing, probably, but faster with local measure. A lot of interest from our customers saying, I don't like where we are just now. Can you give us, building off the top of our platform, can you give us, that CCaaS offering? So again, driven by our customers, take our customers' feedback, and that's how we steer the project, the product.
And I also wanted to highlight, when we're talking about companies, you work closely with some of the UK's most recognisable brands, and a few big names I can mention here: Tesco, Liberty London, and Lush, and so many more. Are you able to share any standout success stories from customers like this? Don't have to name any names, but I think it'll just bring to life what we're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, there is some phenomenal customers there. And, a big one for me is also Next, FTSE 100 retailer, brick and mortar, online, and working with those teams up there in the Leicester have been phenomenal. It's a really good relationship that works in partnership. We talk about sometimes partnership, but definitely, with the companies you just mentioned and others, it's not a customer vendor. This is partnership. And, we will do everything we can to make our customers super successful. So yeah, those brands, Lush, they've been really heavily supporting us at our showcases. But you go around Europe and there's phenomenal brands. Some I can't talk about, some really well-known companies that we can't talk about for restrictions, but phenomenal to work with them.
And I'm curious, if you were to put all of these people that you're speaking with, all these big brands, into a big melting pot there, from a sales and go-to-market angle, how are the customer expectations or partner expectations around AI and service automation? How are they evolving across the region from those?
Yeah, and you look at, their expectations is high, and they want to push the boundaries. They're getting pressure from their C-suite to really exploit AI in all walks of life. And if you look at the different, segments that we work in, probably 13 out of the 15 top fintechs are powered by Zendesk. We're also looking at in the sports gaming market, probably 13 at the top 15 as well. So again, this technology market, the e-com retail, etc., is really buoyant for us, as they're really pushing to, if some of these are low margin businesses, if you're a retailer, you want to maximize as much as possible. So you've got to focus on costs. And given the climate we're living in just now, there is a massive focus from our customer. How do we get the best out of the platform? How do we sweat the assets? So there is a big push right now to do that.
So when you're engaging with enterprise clients today, where do you see the biggest disconnect, especially when it becomes between ambition and execution in terms of digital service transformation, AI, agentic, and all that stuff? What is that disconnect there? What are you seeing?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting because we're not just, enterprise is a big focus for us. But if you look at all the different market segments, if you're an SMB, digital native, you are pushing extremely hard as well. Some of the sales that we do in the commercial mid-market area are enterprise grade. So, and not just enterprise themselves. But again, the big thing is about how do we, have a common platform? How do we get the best from that platform? And how do we take advantage of the new technologies that's coming out to really ultimately increase our customer service, decrease our ticket resolution time, and specifically first reply time as well. So they really have look at these metrics and how do they provide a better service to their customers.
So inevitably, as AI will continue to reshape customer and employee experiences alike, and as someone who's got partnerships with some of the biggest brands in the UK and have the ear of so many different big leaders, any advice that you would have to any other business leaders listening? They're thinking about trying to align technology innovation with real world outcomes, and they're listening to this podcast for a little inspiration. Any advice that you would offer there?
Oof, it's a good question. Obviously, come talk to us at Zendesk would be my biggest advice, Neil. I think there's a lot of, one of the things that, we've seen a few issues, particularly in the UK with cyber attacks and everything recently, right? I have a big thing about looking at platforms and, there's a lot of people, building AI in their basement and things like that. So for me, I really come from what is the stability of the platform and then how secure is that platform? I think, with the rush to, hey, do I this? I can create a bot, bang. It can cause exposure. And, part of the things we want to do is make sure that we protect our clients as much as everything else. So again, I think that there has to be a little thought about that yes, we can move really fast, but let's make sure we do it in a safe and sensible manner.
You raise such a great point there, because in the UK especially, there has been some high-profile cyber attacks. From the conversations you're having, is there an increased awareness of cyber resilience and vulnerability? Are you hearing more and more about this?
I think yes is the answer, but I think it's taken a bit of a while as everybody's been experimenting and playing with some of this new technology. Hence the reason we are spending a lot of money on acquisitions and a lot of time developing and building product that is enterprise grade, and that can scale up and down, from your SMB to your big corporates. But yeah, I think there's been a real push, and I think now we've got to make sure let's make it safe, let's make it secure, and again at the end of the day, we want to make it good for the customers and their customers.
And I think we're both of a similar age, and we've seen the rise of so many huge digital transformations from the arrival of the internet, mobile, cloud, and of course now it's AI, and everyone's incredibly excited about the shift that we're experiencing now and another phase of digital disruption. What excites you about the kind of journey that you've been on, the changes you've seen in your career and where we're heading now? Anything on a personal level and a professional level that excites you right now?
Yeah, you're right. We're right. We've seen quite a lot in the time, and I think this is the most exciting time in the industry right now, because I think I don't know exactly where it's going to go, but it's going there and it's going really fast. So getting on board, and I think anytime you've got a chance when a disruption comes in, it's a really important time that you can go and have conversations with your customers, right? Yeah. You can have sensible conversations with those customers to help them navigate through this. And obviously, ultimately at the end of the day, we were looking to sell our products, and that gives you an opportunity. And that's all you can ask for. Something that creates, stimulates people. And if you're relevant, then I think it's a great market out there just now.
Yeah, completely agree. And I think that's a powerful moment to end on. But before I do let you go, we had the showcase in London a few weeks ago. A lot of big events coming up as well. For anyone listening, feel a little inspired by listening to you today. Want to find out more about Zendesk, about your team, about the kind of work you're doing with technology. Where would you like to point everyone?
Yeah, obviously, Zendesk.com, great place to start. I'm one of these people, if anybody would like to talk to us, I'd happily talk to any customer. So you can find me on LinkedIn. I'll guide you. We'll sort your problems out and try and help you on your way. So again, we just like the opportunity to show people what we're doing. I think we're building some phenomenally cool products and working with some brilliant customers. So happy to share. And I think it's what's best, Neil, about those events actually is everyone I've been to is it's not, I can take the Zendesk salespeople out the room and let the customers work. Customers are passionate about, nothing's more powerful when, one customer's talking to another and they go, oh, let me show you how to do this. Bang. And you see that all the time. And that's what makes these events really cool for me, because you build up those networks and, you get the feedback from those people that are there, and it's really cool.
Awesome. Well, I'd add links to the website and your LinkedIn profile and a list of those events that people might be able to come along and check out, and also say, hey, I heard the podcast. It was great when you were talking about, and maybe continue that conversation that we started today. But more than anything, just thank you for taking the time to sit down and talk with me, because I know how busy you are. You've got an incredibly busy travel schedule. So thanks for joining me today.
Appreciate it. And good luck cutting the grass. Thank you.
I'm curious, what stood out to you hearing how Zendesk plans to handle 80% of resolutions with AI, while also keeping trust and stability at the forefront? I think today's conversation in many ways highlighted that real-world decisions behind the buzzwords like agentic AI and outcome-based pricing actually reveals why a solid, secure platform is non-negotiable as industries evolve with the rapid pace of technological change. And I think speaking with Zendesk today reaffirmed me that even the most sophisticated automation only works best when it clears space for people, gives them space to bring empathy and creativity to every interaction. And as I wrap up today, I encourage you to think about how your organisation actually measures customer service success, especially as we're talking about fast intelligence support. What would happen if you paid only for resolutions, not agents? And how ready is your security posture to embrace AI in a responsible way? So email me, techblogwriter@outlook.com, LinkedIn, X, Instagram, TikTok, wherever you want to hang out. It's just at Neil C. Hughes. But we've reached the end of today's episode, so please keep questioning, keep exploring, and let's stay connected as this technology that we follow continues to reshape the conversations between companies and the people they serve. And also, let me know what part of Zendesk story today that we heard, what makes you rethink your own approach to customer experience. And as we come full circle, it means it's time for me to walk off out into the sunset, but I'll return again very soon. Thanks for listening. Bye for now.